Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining in the world. Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to join us for a special web event. I'd now like to introduce our presenters today. Shriram, Director of Product Management, and Hemant, VP of Technology at Mojo Network. Today, we're going to be walking you through how to get rid of crappy Wi-Fi and really the 4 reasons why tri-radio access points are a no-brainer. As we get into the nitty-gritty, we're going to talk about the actual challenges posed by 2 radios and why tri-radio is essential to Wi-Fi design in any high-density environment.
Okay, Erika, thanks very much for introducing me, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So the way we are going to structure this is talk about the design aspects of Wi-Fi that necessitate third radio AP. We have been doing Wi-Fi designs for a long time using 2 radio APs, meaning usually it's a dual radio AP. One is serving 5 gigahertz band, another one is serving 2.4 gigahertz band. And we have been doing that for a long time. And if you see how Wi-Fi features have evolved from convenience to mission critical, from low density to high density, today we are at a point where we need to think out of the box, right? There are several disadvantages of 2 radio AP that we see today when we look at these feature requirements, and let's look at what those are and how tri-radio AP helps there, right? So I have kind of listed here kind of a laundry list of things that come to mind right away as differentiators between 2 radio and 3 radio. Number 1 says security and RF optimization without impact on real-time applications. And what this means is that it's pretty much given today that all access points will be carrying voice or video pretty much all the time on their radios. And then is it at all feasible to do effective WIP security, wireless intrusion prevention security, and RF optimization using those 2 radio APs when real-time applications are running? And the answer to that is no. And we are going to go into details of this in the subsequent slides, whereas tri-radio AP can still do it, so that's one advantage. Second advantage is, especially when you're talking about high density environments, these days we want APs to do a lot of RF optimization and what they call as RRM, radio resource management type of features. And these features require some special scanning of channels other than the channel where you're serving your clients. And when you have a dual radio AP, there's a big disadvantage there to scanning, and hence big disadvantage to how effectively you can implement those RRM features. So that's the second point written there. The third point I want to bring up is WIPS, wireless intrusion prevention system monitoring. And with increasing awareness about security in enterprises, WIPS these days becomes like a table stake for any access point deployment, because you want to detect rogue access points, you want to detect karma attacks, phishing attacks on your Wi-Fi, and then this is where a dual radio AP falls short, because it has the primary task of forwarding traffic to their clients. Now, where is the available resources with dual radio AP to perform all this WIPS monitoring? And this is where tri-radio APs really shows up as a big differentiator. Number 4 is troubleshooting and spectrum analysis. And as a network admin, you probably take live packet traces in your wireless LAN several times when you want to troubleshoot some complex issues, right? And one challenge you will face with dual radio APs is if you want to convert that radio to take a packet trace, you will be stopping the service to the clients. And that limits your ability to and freedom to take packet trace whenever you want to resolve any specific issues. And I would even go and say that, to the extent of saying that you probably want to take those traces when there is a lot of traffic, right? And so this is like catch-22, that if you want to turn down the radio to take a trace, you are effectively stopping a traffic, and then that reduces your freedom. So in terms of taking live packet traces, or also in terms of doing spectrum analysis on channels other than your own channel. And why we need to do that? Because we need visibility on other channels, because if there were to be a better channel to switch to for improving the RF performance, we want to switch to that channel, right? So these two troubleshooting aspects are very, very limited to or almost impossible with dual radio AP, where a tri-radio AP allows you this flexibility and freedom. And number five is more like a practical aspect of cost, which we'll cover later towards the end when Sriram goes over some of the options available today to deploy three radio APs, right? So what we'll do is now go, maybe one slide or two slides detail into each one of these aspects and throw more colors on what they mean. And the really, really fundamental aspect here is what we call as background scanning versus dedicated scanning, right? Now, to implement all these features that we just discussed in previous slides, such as uh, effective radio resource management or wireless intrusion prevention, WIPS monitoring, what you need to do is you need to scan wireless channels, all wireless channels, not only the ones where your SSIDs are configured, right? So you may have your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi on an AP running on channel 36, but in order to implement all those other features, particularly radio resource management and WIPS, you need to still scan all channels in 5 gigahertz band to get visibility on them, because the threats could occur on any one of them. That's a WIPS aspect, and you need to know which channels are available for you to switch to in the event there is a congestion on your current channel, or just because there is a better capacity available on other channel, right? So the key is you need to scan all channels continuously, even when acting as an AP, because of the feature sets that your AP requires today, right? As a mission critical component. Now, a two radio AP typically does that in a background scanning mode. What that means is that it's primarily serving clients on its current channel, and occasionally or very rarely it takes leave from that channel, quickly goes to another channel, scans it for a short time, and comes back to your serving channel. And this time away from the serving channel cannot be very long, because during this time your clients are not getting traffic forwarding service, as well as it cannot be too frequent, because you cannot interrupt service to those clients too frequently, right? So it's severely limited operation, and you can do it only very, very slowly. And uh, uh, what that slide shows is kind of a cycle time, like if you cycle time to get a data point on a channel other than your serving channel. So in my earlier example, if you are doing client traffic on channel 36 in 5 gigahertz band, and I look at the cycle time for getting a data point on channel 44, let's say, right? So it would take 2 minutes or 5.5 minutes on a 5 gigahertz radio with background scanning to get to the same channel again and get some data point about traffic or threats on it. Whereas if you have a third radio which is dedicated to scanning on an access point, then you don't have those limitations of how frequently you can go to the channels, as well as how long you can stay on those channels to collect data points, because your Wi-Fi traffic is being served by the other two radios, right? And the scanning of third radio has no impact on that. And then you actually get to the numbers like 4 seconds. So it's very fast. And if you want to really do quants on this, this is about 75 times faster. So you are visiting the channel much faster with the third radio than the background scanning. As well as an important aspect is when you're doing that, you are not disrupting client serving radios. This is very important also, we'll see in the next slides. So with these two kind of benefits of dedicated scanning or using third radio, we are now ready to understand, those benefits I just listed on the previous slide. The first one was application performance, and here what I'm talking about is real-time traffic that is supported on your access radios. Now, these days you can assume that any enterprise will have a lot of real-time applications like VoIP or web conferencing running on their access points pretty much all the time during busy hours. Uh, Now, as I explained before, if you have a dual radio AP, which is doing background scanning, uh, the service to these real-time applications is interrupted when you are doing a background scanning. And actually, if you look at a lot of products out there in the market today, uh, they actually stop background scanning completely when the real-time applications are running on those radios, because it's just not possible to sustain the real-time application performance uh, while doing the background scanning. So you are basically in one of the two situations. If your access point is not intelligent enough to stop background scanning, you are going to get degradation of those application performance because of the interruptions to the service is going to cause, what they call mean opinion score degradation of your voice or video streaming. And the other option, if the access point intelligently stopped the background scanning when real-time applications were running, then you are not getting any of those features such as WIPs or radio resource management or spectrum analysis uh, on the channels other than your service channel during that period, which pretty much is going to be entire period because there will be real-time application. So this is a limitation really of a two radio AP when you have a lot of real-time and video streaming applications. Whereas the third radio AP, as we discussed, it's scanning uh, is totally independent of the other two serving radios, so has no impact on the applications running on those radios. So this is very, very important aspect to consider as a differentiator between the dual radio and three radio AP in today's Wi-Fi design, because the way applications are. The second point we mentioned in the list was radio resource management, and like a sampling of features that come under RRM are things like dynamic channel selection, meaning uh, if there are channels other than your current channel that are currently available, which are lightly loaded or less interference prone, then what you want to do, or what an access point wants to do, is automatically switch to that channel, right? And this is called dynamic channel selection. And as you can imagine, for an access point to know what the candidate channel list is available, it needs to have quite accurate and detailed information on those channels other than your current channel, right? So that's called dynamic channel selection. Uh, Another one is auto transmit power, and there are really two aspects of auto transmit power. One is that you want to maintain the right transmit power on your channel so that you don't cause co-channel interference, right? Two access points which are one or two cells away from your own access point, from your access point. But there's also another angle that there will be neighborhood access points around you, and they will be on different channels, and you don't want to make your cell too big or too small, you know, uh, because otherwise the clients will get confused when they hand off from one access point to another access point. If you make your cell too big, then what they call as sticky clients, right? The clients will stick to this access point even if there's a better neighborhood access point available on other channels. So when you're talking about auto transmit power, the point I'm driving is not only you have to look at your own channel to reduce co-channel interference, but you also need to look at what transmit powers your neighborhood access points are operating on, which are on different channels than your serving channel, to maintain the optimal cell overlap. And then other features are things like client load balancing, where you want to know whether there's a higher density of clients on another neighborhood access point, which would better off with you because of the RSSI profiles, and then you can relieve that access point of some load. So you need to know client density on all other channels with all other access points. Things like coverage hole recovery, meaning a neighborhood access point goes down, then you want to expand your power to fill up the hole. Sticky client mitigation we discussed briefly, but what it really means is client that remains connected to you even though RSSI goes down, and many clients behave like this. You want to disconnect that client from a given AP so that it can go and connect to neighbor access point, right? So these features are kind of table stakes today in any high density environment, and all these require visibility for an AP on channels other than where it is currently serving client traffic. And that visibility, the better the visibility that is, meaning the faster you are going to other channels, the longer you are staying there, right? You get more accurate information about those other channels, and that's going to improve your performance of RRM schemes. And this is where really the third radio shines, because like I shown before, dedicated versus background, it can go to those channels much faster. It is not restricted about how long it can stay on particular interesting channel to gather information, because it's not affecting the client traffic. So this is really important kind of uh, feature set where third radio AP helps your Wi-Fi design. And this is just to just have fun out of it, and a kind of illustration. What it is showing, especially if you look at the right two pictures, is that what it is showing is the mirror, in the middle. Imagine that it is giving you very slow delayed information, like the information which is 15, 20 minutes delayed, right? Whereas the one on the right is giving you instantaneous information, which is 4 or 5 seconds uh, at most delayed. Now here you might be driving in a city, crossing a train track, but your delayed mirror is still showing that you were in mountains 20 minutes before. So it's safe to maybe take a turn, right turn, but really you have a train coming from behind, right? So it's just to drive the point that uh, the third radio gives you more up to date recent information about those other channels, so that you don't cause accidents by going there, meaning you don't accidentally go to channel which is actually loaded, which was not loaded 20 minutes before, but which is currently loaded, right? And then you would have made a bad choice going there, bringing down the overall performance. That's really just have some fun out of it. The third aspect was wireless intrusion prevention system security. And as you know, this is about detecting rogue access points. This is about your clients that are connecting to neighborhood access points, either deliberately or they being Wi-fished, into honeypot AP. And when you look at all these threats, they don't necessarily come on the channel that you operate on. Actually, most of the times, these threats happen on channels other than the channels that you are serving the clients, right? Because you cannot control which channel the rogue access point would be configured and plugged into your network, or you cannot control which channel the karma access point would operate to attract your uh, clients to it, right? To hack them. So really, which requires you really, getting a lot of information on these other channels to be able to detect threats. And uh, this is some quantitative comparison. If your rogue AP plugged into your network, uh, how much time it will take for a dual radio background scanning AP to detect it versus a tri radio AP, and you see it's several minutes with the dual radio AP, and this is again measured using best of the breed rogue detection techniques. So if you have rogue detection techniques which are not best of the breed, then this time could be in tens of minutes for the rogue AP detection, right? Compared to few seconds, which is pretty much instantaneous with a tri radio AP. And for client detection, what the challenge is that typically you have to make multiple visits to the channel. The reason being that it is very likely that the client is not actually sending a data packet at the time you went to the other channel. It's associated to AP, but it's not actively sending some packet at that time. Or, it is also possible that uh, the scanning radio is away from the client, so that the client is sending a packet at high data rate, but the radio is not able to decode it because it is further away. Now, due to these various reasons, and because the associations are more dynamic than beacons of access points, it takes multiple visits to channel to detect client activity and client threat. And hence it could be tens of minutes before you can even say that, hey, your client was Wi-fished by Karma tool into parking lot. And 20 minutes is a lot of time for the hacker to fish a client, show some web page that looks like an authorized page, ask for a password, and grab that password, right? So it's a long time. Uh, so you see the time difference. And another very important point is that if you're running real-time applications like voice and video on your access radios, like I explained before, you cannot even make the background scans without disrupting that traffic. And in that situation, basically your security will be off. And then this could be hours or many hours before you can even detect these threats. And now it's very clear why Tri-Radio AP is better for WIPS monitoring, because it's continuously scanning without any impact. The scanning is much faster. So you're going to detect threats faster, and threat detection is not going to be dependent on what applications I'm running on the WIPS, on the access radio. And another important point is a lot of people, like especially for client-based threats, uh, the clients always connect. I mean, if you think they don't in your enterprise, probably you don't have visibility into it. But they do connect to neighborhood all the time for various reasons. And it's not possible to take manual human intervention every time a client connects. This has to be an automated process. That if a client connects to access point other than your authorized access point, there has to be an automated way to disconnect that client and bring it back to your authorized access point, because these events are going to be a lot of events every day. You cannot manually mitigate them. So the technique that is used to do that is over-the-air prevention, where the WIPS radio actually sends disconnect packets to client and AP when the association is undesirable, so that the client searches again and comes back to your authorized AP. Right now, if you have to do this effectively, you need third radio, because like I described before, the ability of second radio to go to the channels uh, that it wants and send these disconnect messages. And it's not one disconnect message, you have to send it like a cadence of disconnect messages, because the client is trying to go reassociate to the same AP after it is disconnected. So you have to hit it again. And after that cadence of disconnect messages is going to declare that, oh, I cannot connect to this AP, so I need to go back to my earlier AP, right? So this cadence is not possible because the two radio AP is kind of restricted to maintaining a lot of presence on the channel where it is serving clients, whereas the tri-radio AP has this full flexibility, so you're going to get a very effective WIPS monitoring coverage with this. And the fourth point, one more point when it comes to security, actually, it's not just third radio. The third radio also needs to have some desirable characteristics. And one important one I would say is it needs to be at least 2x2, two special stream radio. It's not sufficient for it to be a one special stream. And the reason is very simple. If you look at Wi-Fi traffic today, right, close to 100% traffic is either one stream or two stream. There are very, very small percentage of three stream clients available out there. So it is almost reasonable to say that almost 100% of your traffic is going to be either one stream or two stream today, right? Now, one stream radio cannot detect two stream traffic. This is a fundamental point here. It cannot detect a traffic transmitted with two stream rates. Now, so if you have a one stream third radio, you're going to see only 50% of that traffic around you. Whereas if you have 2x2 stream radio, you're going to see close to 100%, because as I said, two stream and one stream together make almost 100%. And the reverse is true, that two stream radio does detect one stream, right? Traffic. So a two stream radio detects both one stream and two stream uh, traffic. So it's basically gives you full 100% coverage for threat detection. And another important aspect also is that, and I bring this up because, see, a third radio adds complexity to the hardware design. So a simpler way some access points may go is have 11N uh, radio as a third radio to reduce the processing requirements, to reduce the cost and various hardware design aspects. But that falls short, because the way 11AC standard was drafted, 11N radios cannot see any 11AC communication. The reverse is not true, meaning 11AC radio can see all 11N traffic, but 11N radio cannot see any 11AC traffic, because there is a change in the preamble of the packet when the standard changed from 11N to 11AC. So it is also, now today you can almost imagine that close to 100% traffic is 11AC or in a year or two. So if you have 11 in the radio as a third radio, you're not going to see any traffic, you know, and then if you're not seeing any traffic, you can't detect and prevent any threats. So when it comes to security particularly, it is also important to have certain advanced capabilities on this third radio so that your threat coverage is perfect. Uh, Going to my, pretty much this is the last point on benefits of, feature benefits, and then Sriram will talk about practical deployment aspects. Uh, Troubleshooting, kind of, I went over it during earlier part. There are two aspects to troubleshooting. One, what I call spectrum analysis. Now, spectrum analysis is about detecting presence of interference, detecting presence of traffic of various kinds on channels, right? And now, if you are doing a dual radio AP with a background scanning, the background scanning visits which happen every, I think, 5 or 6 minutes I showed, not sufficient to generate spectrum analysis data on other channels than your own channel. So the dual radio AP may show you a good spectrum analysis on your own channel, and may even tell you that, your current channel is degraded. But at that point, if you did not know what other channels are available to switch to, I mean, you have to go through another phase of discontinuing the service on current channels, scanning all other channels, collect all that data, and then make a decision to switch. However, if you're third radio AP, you have that information with you all the time. That at every point of time, you know how my other channels look like at this point of time. So this decision to switch from current channel to other channel can be very fast and accurate. And you can imagine if it is a busy kind of high density Wi-Fi environment like school or conference room, uh, if you can switch within seconds versus you switch within tens of minutes, is going to make a lot of difference on what kind of Wi-Fi service people are going to experience there. So this is one aspect of troubleshooting that really kind of becomes very, very powerful with third radio AP, that you can get spectrum analysis data on all channels all the time, right? And without disrupting anything on your traffic radios. And the second aspect of troubleshooting that network admins, often want or required to do live packet captures about the traffic to troubleshoot some issues or even get insights into, any traffic parameters. Now, when you have dual radio AP, if you have to use one of those radios for live packet capture, may not be on the same channel. You might want to do a traffic capture on the neighboring access point, right, which is on a different channel. Then you are basically bringing down the service, Wi-Fi service on that radio. Now, that may not be always possible, at least definitely during busy hours. So you will have to time your packet capture to non-busy hours, and then the catch-22 is that then you don't get the real kind of information that you wanted to get, because you wanted to get packet capture during busy hours, because that's when the issues were happening, or that's where the interesting stuff was happening. So the two radio AP kind of restricts your freedom on taking packet traces because of that need to not disrupt service to clients when you're doing that. Whereas it's no brainer that third radio AP can be tuned to any channel anytime, and then you can take these packet traces for troubleshooting or traffic analysis purposes. And this is the area I love this, because, and then if you can connect it to some nice graphical packet kind of analysis tools, this is a very powerful feature that third radio can offer you. So that's kind of my kind of list of benefits that third radio AP offers you in Wi-Fi design. The way Wi-Fi design has changed today, the way kind of it has become mission critical, and a lot of features that have become table stakes. And now the next question is, practical aspects, cost, deployment aspects, availability of products, tri-radio AP products. So I kind of invite Sriram to give us insights into what those factors.
Sure. Hey, thanks, Hemant. This is Sriram. Beyond the four technical benefits that Hemant mentioned, so there is one other benefit which is related to deployment. That's a cost. So if you look at the the rule of the thumb in the industry on how many sensors you have to deploy for the number of APs. It is typically one sensor for every 3-4 APs. Now, with the third radio, you can completely get rid of deploying that additional sensor, and what that means is you have 33% less devices on your network with the tri-radio AP, and which also means you have 33% less cable or Ethernet drops with the tri-radio AP, and essentially all this will lead to cost savings for large enterprise deployments. So again, I mean, beyond the technology benefits, there are clear cost and practical deployment benefits to having the third radio as integrated as part of your access point. All right. So now, very recently we launched the C130, and kind of quickly going through some of the specifications on the C130 product. It has the latest Wave 2 11AC Qualcomm chipset, which is the 9994. It's again has the most powerful latest Qualcomm processor, which is the IPQ 8068, which is a dual core 1.4 gig processor, and also in the software we have made some optimizations on how the software runs various processes in a load balance mode across these two dual core processors. And that's how we were able to run some powerful applications like a layer 7 firewall, DPI, and all the other control plane functions on the access point itself. It's got 256 MB RAM, 128 MB flash, so enough storage. On the radio specification, it's a 4x4, 4-stream, MU-MIMO, BGN, and 11AC. And we've spent considerable time and effort in ensuring that the design of the C130 is very industrial grade and enterprise. We've custom designed the mounts. I'm not sure. We've also custom designed the enclosure to make it enterprise class, and we spent a lot of effort in designing the product. And again, from an antenna design perspective, we've also spent some time to ensure that we get good rate versus range functionality. So ensuring that the antenna design is optimized for the right range versus rate deployment. Right. So
you want to mention there's a multifunction radio?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Multifunction radio.
Okay, I mean that. Sorry. Yeah. So and then the third radio, right, which is the the whole point of today's webinar, is a 2x2 11AC radio. And again, Hemant kind of talked through the benefits of having the third radio, but also why a 2x2 third radio helps in making some of those features more robust. All right. So here's a quick comparison of the C130 product against the others in the industry. This information is the latest as we have. So there are, I mean, if you look at 3 radio offerings in the industry, there are primarily 3. One offered by Mojo, then the Meraki MR52, and then the Cisco. The Cisco 2800 and the 3800. The third radio is not integrated as part of the access point itself. It's a separate module that you have to purchase and install on the access point. Now, the Aerohives, Aruba, and Ruckus, they're all dual radio access point. So they do not provide a third radio functionality, and hence they will not provide all the benefits that we just talked about from a feature perspective. And if you look at the list of the third radio APs, we are the only one to provide a 2x2 third radio. And again, Hemant talked about why that's beneficial. And also from a cost standpoint, we are not really with the C130, we are not really charging a premium to our customers for inserting that third radio. So an average the list price for the C130 with a three-year cloud subscription is $1,085, which is, as you can see from the sheet, is significantly lower than any other competitive offering in the industry. So with that, just come to the end of my my presentation, and we are open to questions. So Erica, back to you. Happy to take any questions at this time.
Great. Thank you so much, Sriram. I'm going to give it just a minute here as some questions are going to come in. So again, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask our presenters, you can go ahead and submit it through the Q&A or the chat window. We'll go ahead and take some of them. And there was, of course, one question. This is being recorded. It will be available on demand on the website probably tomorrow. So if anybody has missed it or you'd like to revisit that, we will be hosting this on demand. But that will be ineligible for a free access point. And in terms, Shri, there was a question around existing dual radio deployments, and is it unfair to say that these are now inefficient and insecure, or really the goal of today's webinar is to talk more about the benefits of tri-radio and moving forward in future deployments. What should those who have dual radios be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural evolution of technology, right? So if you have dual radio AP, the Mojo dual radio APs, they're doing the best that can be done with two radio APs, right? So that doesn't mean that it is inefficient or insecure, but if you have three radio APs, you'll be able to do more. That's really the point. And as the way technology evolves, you always try to do more, right? And with less, as we said, with less money. So I won't say they're inefficient or insecure. It's about doing more as the technology curve is advancing.
Great, thank you. And then a question came out around when these would be available.
So the C130 is already shipping, Erica.
Okay. So also I'd like to address how to get your free access point. So for all those eligible today on the webinar, we're going to be reaching out to you to confirm your eligibility and your shipping details. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email us at myrep@mojonetworks.com or give us a call at the number on the screen to talk more about your eligibility. Unfortunately, our valued resellers and partners are not eligible as our existing Mojo customers, but we'd love to get you in a free trial or anything like that if for some reason you're ineligible for the free product. And I have another question here. So Shri or Hemant, if there's a scenario here, setting up in an exhibit hall that has its own AP mesh, would using two of these tri-radios in a booth have less interference from the hall's network? I believe this is an exhibit, like a trade show.
Hey, Erica, could you repeat that question again?
Yeah, absolutely. So in a given scenario, someone's asking about whether they're setting up an exhibit. So I'm imagining a booth in a trade show, an exhibit hall that has its own AP mesh. Would using two of these in a booth have less interference from the network in the exhibit hall?
I mean, I would say that really the third radio is scanning. So you're using one radio for mesh, another radio for access, I assume. The third radio scanning in that kind of dense environment still going to help you with RRM features, because in the booth scenario, it's so crowded that you want to always find the best channel available and work there. And it's going to change so dynamically that fast knowledge about the channel load is going to be important. So I think your performance of access point will be better. I don't think you can do a lot about your mesh link because those are not usually dynamically changed. But on the access side, you will get benefit of being working always on the best channel, especially in that crowded environment.
Great, thank you. In terms of the third radio, can it be used for client access?
Not today, because the whole purpose was to give a lot of boost to these features which have become table stake, make them work more efficiently, faster. So if that is the purpose, then if you just turn it into a third access radio, then the whole purpose is lost, and you fall back to the conventional performance with these features.
Okay. And then a final question here is coming around more of an upgrade potential. Would it be possible to deploy the Mojo Tri-Radio access point in a competitive environment and use it for security and segmentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're using the C1, the Tri-Radio, you definitely want to use the first two radios for access, because the third radio is the one that's doing the scanning. I mean, if you're looking at a pure sensor mode, and if pure sensor mode is a requirement, I mean, if that's what you're going to be using Mojo for, then we would actually recommend the C120, which is again 11 AC Wave 2 access point using the same chipset, but that's a dual radio, and that would be a better fit to be used as a pure sensor mode.